scenes of joy and anger in Cairo following the announcement of Islamist Mohamed Morsi's victory at the Egyptian presidential elections. Much awaited results which also unleashed online passions. It was above all the defeat of one of the former regime's anchors, which was celebrated by revolutionaries such as Gigi Ibrahim. Opponents would have considered a win by military figure Ahmed Shafiq as a step backwards. Activist Wael Ghonim welcomed the election of the country's first civilian president, despite considering the revolution far from over. An opinion shared by blogger Zenobia, who is celebrating the start of a new chapter in her country's history, while declaring that from now on, she will be an opponent to the Muslim Brotherhood's power. And what powers will the president-elect have? This is a question asked by Sandra El Amrani on his blog, The Arabist. He believes a power struggle is about to begin between Mohamed Morsi's party and the army in charge of political transition, unless the two have secretly reached a power-sharing agreement. Nevertheless, a new head of state's slightest movements are sure to be examined closely. A site entitled Morsi Meter has been set up with the aim of monitoring his political dealings and ensuring electoral promises are maintained.
This video was broadcast via the internet last week. It features 4 high-ranking Syrian military officers, 2 brigadier generals and 2 colonels, announcing their defection. Positioned in Aleppo in the north of the country, they say they're defecting to join the FSA, the Free Syrian Army. There's widespread popular support for the Syrian rebellion, with the rebel movement growing in numbers and becoming better coordinated every day. Men introducing themselves as soldiers have been posting messages online announcing their intention to join the ranks of the armed opposition. It would appear that deserters are starting to come from higher and higher ranks within the military. 1 general and 2 colonels recently defected to Turkey. A few days later, a fighter pilot landed his jet in Jordan, where he asked for political asylum. In this video, Reva Bala, an analyst for private intelligence agency Stratfor, does specify, however, that most deserters are Sunni and the army is mostly made up of Alawites. It would seem that so far it's been extremely rare for an officer belonging to the same Alawi minority as the president, Bashar al-Assad, to defect from the army. The growing number of Sunni soldiers joining the FSA accentuates the sectarian dimension of the Syrian conflict, which has descended into escalating violence. According to Sudanese activists, this video, which was posted online on Tuesday, shows a young man being beaten by a policeman in public for taking part in the anti-austerity protests that have rocked the country for some 10 days now. The movement was initiated by students from Khartoum University in protest of soaring inflation and the austerity measures announced by the government. The state is now virtually bankrupt after its oil revenue dropped dramatically following the independence of South Sudan last year. But the protesters' demands are also political. In an article published on the website of Foreign Policy magazine, blogger Amir Ahmad Nasser writes that Sudan is in need of a revolution, and his fellow citizens are now in a position where they can topple Omar al-Bashir. And although the president, who's ruled the country for the past 23 years, will not even hear of the Arab Spring, his government, on the other hand, is showing signs of nervousness. As this amateur video footage suggests, riot police were deployed en masse to Khartoum in a bid to quell the demonstrations. Many protesters, like cyber activists Usama Mohammed and Maha El Sanusi, have been arrested or stopped by police over the past few days. But in spite of the repression, the mobilization is not waning. Mass rallies are being planned for Friday and Saturday across the country. This web user, who goes under the online pseudonym Flippy Cat, likes paintings and dominoes. He's decided to marry the two in this video, in which we see him recreate Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night from just over 7,000 dominoes. Painstaking work. It took him 11 hours to build, and the likeness to the original painting is pretty impressive. "31-year-old Canadian Spencer West, who lost both his legs in a double amputation, has climbed Tanzania's Mount Kilimanjaro, reaching the 5,800-metre summit. He set out on this amazing journey to raise money to help finance a humanitarian project to provide thousands of Kenyans who've been severely affected by drought with drinking water. It took him 7 days to reach the top, and you can follow every moment of this incredible feat via a series of short videos available to view on the site freethechildren.com.